As I said, my name is Daniel Bremer, and I am the Associate Director for Government Relations at the National Council for Community and Education Partnerships, also known as NCCEP. As you may know, NCCEP serves as a national technical assistance provider and principal advocate for the Gear Up program in Washington, D.C., as designated by the U.S. Department of Education. Before we start today's webinar, I would just like to go through some quick housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on NCCEP's website with the rest of the National Gear Up Week resources. If you're having any trouble hearing or seeing this webinar, please proceed to contact GoToMeeting by navigating to the Help menu at the top of the window of your application. Feel free to type up your questions in the chat box as they arise, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. We've set aside some time to answer them. Also, all the links that we're discussing in this presentation will be emailed to you later today, together with a survey about this webinar. I hope you can take some time to respond to it. If you're planning on tweeting about this today's event, please, we encourage you to use the Gear Up Week hashtag, one single word, or just Gear Up, one single word in your tweets. Okay, so let's get started. This is the agenda for today's webinar. In a few minutes, I'll introduce you to our presenter, Shayna Englin. She's going to walk us through why it's so important that we all play our part in advocating for Gear Up in our day-to-day work. We'll also go over some of the budget and funding challenges that we're currently facing. Then we'll discuss our broad advocacy goals, and we'll follow that by 5 ideas on how you can celebrate National Gear Up Week, yes, to advocate for Gear Up. After that, we'll share some tips and resources that might be helpful to you in your advocacy work, and we'll wrap up the webinar responding to any questions that you may have. So let's move on. Joining us today is Shayna Englin. As you might remember her from her presentations at the annual conference or the capacity building workshop. She's been working with NCCEP in our advocacy and communications efforts since last year. She runs her consulting company called Englin Consulting and has a team of very skilled. Well, Shayna, I think you skipped ahead of me. Sorry about that. Yes, she has her consulting firm where she has a team that helps campaigns and causes with strategic advocacy. Shayna has a strong background in nonprofit, campaign, and policy, and she's a graduate of the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Thank you, Shayna, for joining us today. Take it away.
Hi, Daniel. Hi, everyone. And apologies for a little bit of technical difficulty here, moving the slides around. As Daniel said, we're talking today about the power that you have as a Gear Up member of the Gear Up community in advocating for Gear Up. And quickly, we can talk about how much it is that you matter. And I know that sometimes it seems that the process is big and that a single voice or a set of voices from our community don't make a difference, but it's vital that you understand that you really do. So in every congressional office, they get anywhere between 250 and 2,500 incoming constituent emails every single day. All of Congress and all of the congressional staffers work with the constant presence of lobbyists and government relations folks talking about a whole range of issues, and especially when it comes to fiscal and budget issues, that noise is amplified even further. So it's really important that your member of Congress know that the Gear Up community is real people in their district with real experiences with this particular program. In short, your member of Congress has to know that you're there. And the only way that they can do that is if they hear from us, they hear from you. We've heard also from our allies and friends on the Hill that the outreach from students is particularly impactful. that hearing the experiences of students in the districts and how Gear Up has made a difference in their lives and led to different outcomes in their lives is among the most important things that members of Congress need to hear. So the big takeaway here is the Gear Up community, you as a member of the Gear Up community, really matter in shaping the future of this program in terms of what Congress does. So speaking of Congress, the context that we're operating in is what we're generously, I think, calling budget mayhem. And the key component of that mayhem right now is something called sequestration. And a little bit of background on sequestration. You might remember way back, Congress was going to make bold moves to solve a budget impasse. In order to do that, they signed a subset of themselves, Republicans, Democrats, House, and Senate, to resolve the impasse. And in order to help incentivize that, they set a very stark and stringent consequence for failure. And that consequence was what we're calling sequestration. And the notion was that they certainly weren't going to fail, so we would never have to deal with those consequences. Well, lo and behold, the supercommittee did in fact fail, triggering sequestration, which means mandatory cuts split equally between defense and non-defense. And so $54.7 billion would be cut from both defense and non-defense under sequestration. This would mean an 8.4% cut to education programs, about $4 billion. And the details of how those cuts would work exactly were not set. Again, because this was a policy that no one in Congress ever thought they were actually going to have to live with, a lot of the details were not worked out. And so what we do know, though, is that it can happen in any number of ways. It could be that every program within education gets cut by 8.4%. It could be that some programs get zeroed out, while other programs have suffer no cuts. It's not at all clear, but what we do know is that neither departments nor agencies will have a role in determining how those cuts actually work out. Daniel, before I go on, is there anything that you wanted to add about sequestration?
I just wanted to say that there's a presentation we made that explains sequestration in much further detail, and it talks about how it will impact education as a whole, as well as all the other programs and services that you depend on, and how those will be affected by sequestration if this takes place in January 2013. So we really encourage you to, click on the link and see it's a very cool Prezi presentation that you can see online. That's all. Thanks, Shayna.
Thank you. So within that context, we in the Gear Up community have two big asks of our member of Congress. One is stop sequestration. The news about sequestration is it was a policy that Congress imposed on itself, and so it's a policy that Congress can change, and it needs to be stopped. It threatens bipartisan national priorities like education, and it will result in deep, ill-considered, or really not at all considered cuts that threaten the economic and physical security of every community across the country. Everyone in every state and every community will be affected. And again, that's not at all what they intended when they started talking about it. So first ask is stop sequestration. And then the second one, of course, is no matter what's happening with sequestration or anything else, there is still a budget negotiations that are going to happen. And we want to ask our members of Congress to protect level funding for Gear Up. And our message there is that Gear Up works. It's a national bipartisan priority to get more students to succeed in college. And Gear Up works to do that by preparing students to get into and succeed in college and the economy. So two big asks of what we in the Gear Up community need from Congress. Daniel, did you have anything to add there?
So we'll move on to, well, given the context, this is why it is so important that we all participate and all do our part during August District Days, which we still have 2 more weeks to go, and obviously to celebrate National Gear Up Week. And here are 5 big ideas that can get you on your way to advocate for Gear Up during National Gear Up Week.
Thanks, Daniel. So first idea, since National Gear Up Week will be when Congress is in session, we're focusing on district staff where you are in the state's programs. So first idea, host your members' district staff at your Gear Up program. And this could be something very informal. It doesn't have to be a big deal. What you're trying to do is introduce the program to their district staff. So have students there where you can introduce students and they can talk about their experience in the program, maybe present some student achievements, have a thank you card to Congress that's already prepared, thanking them for their past bipartisan support for the program, showcase a dream wall. Here's what we're all going to do. Here's what all the students are wanting to do with their lives now that they have been exposed to and have the great experiences at Gear Up. These are just a number of ideas, but the notion is to invite your members' district staff so that somebody from that congressional office has a real firsthand experience with the program and, again, can report back to real people with real experiences in our district.
And if I may quickly add something to, I mean, it goes well with the district staff and the district office, which is the second point. District staff will be able to identify you as a specialist in education, so they'll tap you whenever there's an issue that they need to clarify, or whenever the congressman is going to be talking about education or Gear Up, and so they know who to talk to. So that's really important. That's why that's a very good idea to do.
So second idea, if you can't get your district staff to your program, if for some reason that won't work, visit the district office. Schedule a meeting for a delegation of students, parents, teachers, staff, community partners to go visit that district office. And again, same sorts of things, present a thank you card. You could do something like bringing a thumb drive, a little USB thumb drive of video testimonials from students who couldn't be there. Bring a one-page and no more than one-page sheet of 5 quick facts that the district staff should know about the Gear Up program. Things like numbers of students served, alumni activities and outcomes, those kinds of things. But again, what you're doing here is establishing a relationship with the district office, and Daniel's point is excellent, establishing yourself as an expert around these issues that they can go to and begin to build a relationship. So we've set as a goal for NCCEP and for the Gear Up community generally to be a little more visible within our local media. Again, that's part of communicating to Congress and being ever present in our Congress people's minds that we are real people out here in this real program that really matters. So celebrate Gear Up Week with some sort of local media event. You can involve district office staff. You can involve local elected officials. Anyone who maybe has been a good friend to the program or has done something around college access, this can be your reach. Here, what you're trying to do is get somebody in who will be interesting to local media. And by local media, it can be very, very local. What we're hearing from folks in the Hill is that even things like, for those of you who have maybe patch.com in your community, or the local weeklies that are also online, those kinds of things actually do get the attention of members of Congress because there are clearly things that are happening in their districts. So start building relationships with your local media, host them at your program, maybe have a thank you event where you thank Gear Up champions in the community, introduce your Gear Up students at the beginning of the school year, maybe have alumni back to talk about what they're doing now. Anything like that that can generate snippets for your local media to report on is what we're aiming for there. Fourth idea, have a week-long letter writing or phone banking party. If you can't do a particular event, or maybe you also want to do this as part of a media event or part of hosting district staff, set a goal for a number of personal letters or phone calls to your members of Congress. And again, what we're looking for here is a real story from student, from a parent, that demonstrates experience with the program and how the Gear Up program has influenced outcomes. I wouldn't be thinking about college if I hadn't had this experience with Gear Up. I'm applying for college, which I never would have done if I hadn't been in Gear Up. Those sorts of things, we want to really be focusing on outcomes as well. And so do things like collect all the letters, scan them, email them, and also mail them, or deliver them to the district office when you schedule that meeting. This also turns into a local press story, so you can release to the local press that X number of students told their story to their member of Congress because this matters so much, or make it a civics lesson about it. So again, the notion here to start to build a habit of advocacy and to demonstrate real people, real stories, real experiences, and build that relationship with your member. And finally, collect Gear Up video stories. You may have participated in a prior webinar around storytelling. NCCEP and the Gear Up community has invested in getting better at telling the Gear Up story. And National Gear Up Week is a great place to practice that skill. So again, set a goal for the number of video testimonials that you'll collect, and these can be very short. You don't have to worry about production value. This is just about students, alumni, parents, staff, partners, people who are involved with Gear Up, putting a face to the program and delivering a message about the value of the program in their lives, what their experience has been with it, and how it's changed them. And if you are highly energetic and want to do all of those things and more, some bonus ideas to think about, have every student write a practice college application essay, and then again turn that into some sort of statement or release for the local media. Create, sign, and deliver a giant outside thank you card for members of Congress for the past bipartisan support of Gear Up. Have your city council or state legislator or governor, whoever you have a relationship with, declare it official Gear Up Week. And again, that's a good local media story.
So here we have some tools to help you, make these things possible. So, for example, we have Animoto. It's an online service. The website is animoto.com. You can use the short link over there. And it allows you to create an account, and the free account allows you to create 30-second videos with the pictures that you already have, or video that you took on your smartphone or a handheld flip camera, and it allows you to put all that content together with a few words and say, Gear Up works, here's a video of the student, and then create it and share it with music and everything. So it's a really amazing and easy service to use that just really allows you to put a story on video and then share it with everybody.
Useful. Thank you, Daniel. Also, another little technology tool that might help, there's a font called Chartwell that allows you to create charts and infographics. Sometimes what we have a hard time doing is communicating our great numbers in ways that people can digest. And so turning them into charts and beautiful infographics can help. And there's a simple font that has been developed that actually allows you to do that. And if you follow that link there, there will be instructions on how to download it. A couple things that aren't tools per se, but making the most of what you have. Just remember the story formula. We're telling a story of me, of us, and of now. So again, that's the template for example, if a student is telling a story, this is who I am. This is something about me that relates to a universal about all of us. And this is the urgency. This is Gear Up and how this actually is changing the now and why it matters. So getting comfortable with that formula could be very helpful and can help streamline the story collection and also the letters and everything else. And then also good portions of the Gear Up community have invested in social media and particularly Twitter. And so as you're doing that as part of your Gear Up work, just amplify the impact of that work with some best practices, and we linked a quick article, and there are many like it. But the kind of universal best practices right now around Twitter are to keep your tweets very short, even shorter than you're allowed if possible. Never use more than one or at very most two hashtags. But all the evidence is that more hashtags leads people to ignore the tweets. And also tweet during the day. So it may sound obvious, but the busiest times for Twitter are between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. So weekends and evenings are not busy times on Twitter. So tweet during the day. That's when most people will see it.
Yeah, and as we move into National Gear Up Week, just consider making it a point that every tweet that you send out that you either include, hashtag Gear Up or hashtag Gear Up Week, so that we can, create a movement around those two hashtags. And we already have a lot of sites using hashtag Gear Up, so just join us. Oh yeah, this is just a quick description of some of the files that you'd be able to find online on NCCEP's website. They are under the events section, and these are all the resources that we've prepared and posted online for you to make your work easier for National Gear Up Week. Online you'll find the official National Gear Up Week logo. Feel free to customize it by adding your own site's logos at the edges. Just we're trying to keep a national image during that whole one-week campaign for National Gear Up Week. You'll also find some sample proclamation templates and a letter to request that proclamation from your local elected officials. We have general Gear Up talking points that might be helpful if you're sending something out to the press or if you're going to be delivering some kind of remarks. Just to talk, that give you the language that we use nationally. Also in that on that website you can find an infographic that provides an overview of Gear Up by the numbers, total students served, total number of grants nationally, the average of a partnership grant, of a state grant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one more document where you have, a list of more additional ideas, that you can work on for National Gear Up Week, and many more things. So please do check it out. Like I said, it's on the NCCEP website under the events section. And we have. This is our Q&A section. We have about 4 minutes to conclude this webinar. We want to be respectful of your time. And so feel free to send us any questions that you might have about our presentation. You can do that through the question module or the chat module. Give me 1 second. I'm looking through the questions. Okay. Well, it seems to be pretty clear. Yes, we're going to be sending out. We're going to be sending out the links. They're going to be on the email that includes a survey, so you're going to receive that shortly. Yes, the webinar is being recorded. We will also add that to the National Gear Up Week resources page. And that's about it. Okay. Yes, very important. Very good question. Please do share your activities with us so that we can communicate them out to the rest of the community and get new ideas for next year. That's very important. Thank you for asking that question. Yes, we will also put a presentation up online. The same presentation online, aside from the video. Any more questions? Okay. Well, we want to thank you for your time to participate in this webinar. We hope it was useful to you and look forward to hearing back from you about the exciting events that you'll be planning for National Gear Up Week. If you have a second, please do connect with us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at @edpartnerships. You can also visit the Gear Up Works blog and share your own stories so that we can publish them for you. And please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or comments. This concludes our webinar for today. Thank you very much.